President Yoweri Museveni recently appointed General Aronda Nyakayirima as the Internal Affairs Minister, taking over from Hilary Onek. And indeed, General Aronda is warming up for his new position after officially handing over his office to the new Chief of Defense Forces, General Katumba Wamala. But the question that has left many across the political divide pondering is whether the four-star general will resign from the army to take up his new position.
Has he retired? That's not for me to decide, because I think the appointing authority knows how the process is done. But there are also ways where when you may either retire or you can be seconded. So when you are seconded, you may not necessarily need to retire.
But what does the law say about a serving army officer who has been appointed to a political office? Legal and political analyst Nicholas Opio explains that the options before General Aronda are really numbered.
If he chooses to take up the appointment as Minister for Internal Affairs, he will be required to retire from the army. Because if he does not retire from the army, then he cannot qualify for appointment as a Minister for Internal Affairs. Because as a serving UPDF officer, he is required to be non-partisan. As a Minister for Internal Affairs, you cannot be non-partisan. You serve a ruling party in power. That party is not non-partisan, it is partisan. You become an active member or an active participant in partisan politics.
Through Opio's legal lens, not even the appointing authority, President Museveni, can keep Aronda serving in the army as well as a minister.
The argument that this should await a word from the Commander-in-Chief, in my view, is erroneous. The Commander-in-Chief has appointed him Minister for Internal Affairs. The ball is now in Aronda's court. He can choose to refuse the appointment and remain an army man, or leave the army, retire from the army, and become a Minister for Internal Affairs.
Currently, President Museveni has not submitted the list of those recently appointed to the various ministerial positions to Parliament for vetting. But once the list appears before the vetting committee, Opio believes that this will be another test that General Aronda will have to encounter.
Follow, therefore, that the former army commander ought to have retired from the army before he takes over as a Minister for Internal Affairs. If he does not retire from the army, I do not think that his appointment will be approved by the Parliamentary Appointments Committee. I think that his appointment might run into legal roadblocks with the Parliamentary Appointments Committee.
This is the fifth time President Museveni has appointed an army officer for the Internal Affairs Ministry after Colonel Kizza Besigye's appointment in 1986. This, according to Opio, is a clear statement being made by President Museveni.
So I think the appointment of an army commander is a strong message to those who have been involved in this various sector that, look, I intend to have a firm control over my internal security organizations, over the police, over the prisons, over immigration issues, over NGOs. The president simply wants to reclaim control and assert authority, and therefore wants to employ people he deems loyal and loyal cadres of the NRM party.
In 2009, the vetting committee blocked the appointment of the then Lieutenant General J.J. Odong as State Minister for Defense until he resigned his position in the army. Solomon Serwanja, NTV.